Came across this very interesting clip that was on a CCTV. I think it appeared on True TV, and so it's not too bad. It's not too bad because it's not too gory, but it just shows the efficiency of the technique called kodagaishi. Now, kodagaishi is a technique that is used by many different arts. Miyamaru uses it as a core technique. Many people abandon this idea of using the wrist locks because they think that they don't work in competition, and they're correct. It is very difficult for a wrist lock to work in competition, but it does work in actual self-defense situations. And in one way that it actually works is when you have to do a gun disarm. So this technique that was shown on the CCTV is exactly the same as the technique that we use in the Miyamaru in our bell curriculum. And so I thought I'd take some time and explain it in detail to you.
Gillespie stops the suspect and soon realizes he's got a warrant. But he's also high on crack and won't go back to jail without a fight. The drugged-out man grabs the officer by the arm, then tries for the mace on her belt. Suddenly, he gets hold of her gun. Gillespie fights to hang on to her weapon and push it away from her face. That's when civilian Pat Coughlin comes in to help the fallen cop.
It was a bad struggle, and I'm just going to help a lady in distress under any circumstances.
Help arrives at the moment the officer needs it the most.
He had pointed the gun in her face and pulled the trigger.
The 9mm Glock is loaded, but miraculously jams. Coughlin grabs the gun and aims it at the cold-blooded felon. He knows he's just saved 2 lives.
First of all, please. The actual technique being used in its formal methodology is called kodagaishi. In kodagaishi, you grab the wrist and you cause trauma to the hand, and the person is tapping right now. The uki is tapping. Sometimes when you see us demonstrated, you see it with a big throw. Needless to say, the guy is not going to take that kind of fall on the street. What's actually happening with his throw is he's allowing me to practice this technique all out with full force and full speed and power. And because he's taking a fall, he's actually throwing himself around the wrist, so I don't run any risk of breaking his wrist. And that's why we take this big fall like this, for safety. Now when we teach police officers, we don't take the big fall like this. Sometimes we just do it and they do it right to a kneeling position. Sometimes we do it and it goes to the ground, sits down on the ground. But we don't do it all the way. So again, there's that safety factor. Now, the technique we're going to use is against a gun, a handgun. And what's going to happen is we're going to avoid the handgun. We're going to make sure that it's not pointing at us or at the victim. And we're going to do that by distracting the handgun. And then we're going to drive the gun towards the person. And you notice also that his finger is not in the trigger. If his finger were in the trigger, as it would really be, you can run the risk of shooting him accidentally. So we don't want to shoot the guy, and we don't want to break his finger. So for safety's sake, we're going to keep our finger out of the trigger when we practice. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to take this gun. And now at this point, notice that his wrist is bent, and I can easily strip the gun. I can easily strip the gun. So the technique again would be to come from the side, drive it away from anybody that it's pointing at, drive it towards the person, and to strip it, and then to hold it on the person. I'm I'm gonna let one of my senseis at the school, Mr. Lebowski, demonstrate this. Mr. Cooper here is gonna hold a gun on this victim. Will McKenzie is a police officer here in Bahamas, and Cooper is a criminal here in Bahamas. No, I'm only joking. Okay, so let's do it at this angle, guys. Okay, she's gonna come in. We're gonna do it slow first of all, so you see how they learn the technique. He's holding the gun on him. She comes in. He's unaware. She points the gun away from him. And now she steps in, turns the gun towards the attacker. She strips the gun away, and she holds the gun. Very simple. Here's how it would look. A little faster. Okay. This technique has been practiced in Myanmar since 1960. It was learned by Shinan Pereira during the war as a way of stopping a guy from taking a hostage. Thank you.